From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Chayay Sarah, defending Israel. There's a midrash in the Midrash Rabbah, the collection of midrash, and also in Sanhedrin 91, where it speaks of a debate between the Jews and the Greeks in the early days of the land of Israel, the Greek period, when around 300 BCE, when Alexander the Great came to the land of Israel. There are other stories about being greeted very, very beautifully by the Kohen Gadol, by Shimon HaTzadik, and the emperor, Alexander the Great, being very impressed with the Kohen Gadol, with the high priest. But here's a different story, a little more confrontational, about Alexander the Great and his arrival in the land of Israel. So here we go. It says in this week's parsha that the land was given, that money was given to Abraham's children, the non-Abrahamic children, not Ishmael, the other ones, the children of Keturah, whoever she was, whether Hagar or Keturah, and he sent them off somewhere else, making it very clear the land of Israel is for Isaac and his descendants, and some sort of role for Ishmael perhaps as well. But in the days of Alexandrus Moktan, well, Jews call Alexander not Alexander the Great, but rather Alexander the Macedonian. This probably meant as an insult because the Greeks like to think of him as Greek, not Macedonian. We like to continue to call him Macedonian because that's where he was from. So in his days, the Ishmaelim, the local Arabs, the local children of Ishmael, came to complain to Alexander the Great. And the Jews needed someone to defend them. So there's a fellow there named Gavia ben Kosem. The Gemara, his name is Gavia ben Pesisa. And he says, look, let me go. I'll try to defend the Jews. So they say, hey, look, don't give away the ship. Don't make any final deals giving away the land of Israel. So he says, look, don't worry about it. I'm nobody. If I win the debate, great. If I lose, you can always say, Gavia ben Kosem, who's he? We never heard of him. He doesn't represent us. So this way we can win either way. So the first question they had, he said, who's presenting the case? So the Ishmaelim came, these Arab came, and they said, look, it says in the Torah that whether you like your first wife or you don't like your first wife, the child, the son of the firstborn, the first wife, he is the firstborn. He gets the rights of primogeniture, twice as much land. That's what we should get. So here Gavia ben Pesisa is in trouble. After all, Ishmael does come before Yitzchak. He was born first. And it says so in our own Torah that the wife of the child of the first marriage comes before the child of the second marriage. So what is he going to say? So he says, look, don't you agree that a father can give a child whatever gifts he wants? That's true. So he says, well, he gave all the other wives, he gave them gifts and he sent them away. That's what it says in the end of our parsha, including Ishmael. So the Ishmaelim had nothing to respond and they had to just walk away. Then there was a second challenge. The Canaanites came. The Canaanites came, and not the Ishmael, but the Canaanites would live there before Ishmael. And they came and they said, hey, we'll prove from the Torah that the Jews don't deserve the land of Israel. How's that? How does the Torah refer to the land of Israel? It doesn't say land of Israel. Eretz Yisrael is an expression. It's found in the book of Yechezkel, one of the very late books of the Tanakh. What is the name of the land of Israel? Eretz Canaan. It's the Canaanite land. So clearly, the land belongs to us. Even the Jews call it the land of Canaan. We're the Canaanites. We want it back. So he said, well, Canaan was cursed to be the Eved, the slave, as it says in the blessings of Noah. And so Gavia ben Pesisa said to Alexander, he said, well, can the master do whatever he wants with the slave? He said, yeah, I guess so, pretty much, within certain legal limits. So he says, well, you're the master, you're the king. So you can take these slaves and you can own them, and then we'll take the land of Israel. So that was the end of that. and the Canaanites walked away with shameful faces. Then we had another group who came, the Egyptians. Egyptians, what do they have to do with anything? The Egyptians came, they said, look, the Jews, when they left, it says in the Torah that they took gold and silver vessels from us, and they never gave it back. They borrowed it. They said they would give it back. So Gavia ben Pasisa says, well, let's see. We worked in Egypt as slaves, which was inappropriate and illegal, and we were stolen away as slaves for 210 years. There were 600,000 men who did the work. So you do the calculation how much money they owe us, and we'll see who owes who money. So the philosophers, probably they meant the mathematicians, but they used the expression philosophim, sat down, the Greek philosophers, sat down and they made the calculation, 600,000 times 210 years. And as they began to make the calculation, when they got to 100 years, they realized that the whole Egypt would go bust, would go broke. So they said, never mind, we changed our mind. So that was the end of them, and they also went away. Finally, they started marching toward Jerusalem. And there was a big problem. The Kuthites, those who were against the temple, told them, hey, when the Jews are not going to let you into that temple. So Gavia was very clever. Firstly, you can't walk on the Temple Mount with shoes on. You have to take your shoes off. So he put some precious stones on the ground. He said, it's too slippery over here. Let me give you some socks. It'll be better to walk like this. So he took off his shoes. He tricked him. Then they came to the sanctuary, and he led him all the way into the main sanctuary. When he came to the Holy of Holies, he said, look, none of us can go past this. I mean, even I can't. I'm Jewish. We have to stop here. We can't go into the Holy of Holies. Well, Alexander was not happy. He's not used to being told no. So he said to him, well, apparently Gavia had kind of a hunchback. So he said, let your hunchback, when we get out of here, I'm going to straighten out your hunchback. Or maybe he had some bump on his forehead. I'm going to straighten out your forehead. Whatever it was, it didn't sound too complimentary, and it didn't sound very interesting or exciting. So Gavia could have started trembling. Instead, he kept his cool and he said, oh, really? If you could do that, you'd be the best doctor. You'd make a lot of money because I've been trying to fix this back for a long time. So he kind of made light of it, made a joke, and Gavia got out of the situation. The Canaanites, the Ishmaelim, the Egyptians, nobody took the land of Israel away from us, and Alexander let us live for the next several centuries. We lived under the Greeks in relative calm and peace. Now, if we look at this story, it really shows four typologies of attempts to wrestle the land of Israel away from the Jews. The first is the claim of nativism. Nativism, after all, we're first. We came here first, whether it's the Canaanites or the Ishmaelim. And that is a very difficult challenge because, after all, as Jews, we don't claim to be the natives of the land of Israel. God gave us a strange lot in life that we came from somewhere else. We're Hebrews, we came from the other side of the river, and we had to come to this land and claim that this is our land, where it originally wasn't. It's a very difficult and challenging position. Secondly, they use language, propaganda. They say, well, after all, what do you call it? It's called the land of Canaan, right? Today they use the slippery argument. They say, oh, after all, it's called Palestine, so it must belong to the Palestinians. I remember my father of blessed memory, he lived a long time ago and born in 1918, and he remembers when Palestinians were Jews or Arabs who lived in the land of Israel. A Palestinian is not a certain nationality that lives in Palestine. Jews who lived in Palestine are also Palestinians. So the language can be used against you in such a way that becomes confusing for people around the world to understand the claims of Israel. After all, isn't it Palestine? Why does it go to the Jews? Not understanding that it's the Romans who stole the land of Israel from the Jews, changed the name to Palestina. And finally, there are two other arguments, and that is they like to make financial arguments. People are always claiming Jews have too much money, they have too much this, the jealousy against the Jews, the financial argument, and then finally, the Rabbi. The idea that the Jews have claims in a certain place, it's unbelievable. Here for 50 years, we don't even step foot on the Temple Mount. A few people, 12,000 people a year, compared to the 3.5 million Arabs who come all the time, Muslims who come to pray at the Temple Mount, we have very modest claims on the Temple Mount. Some people want it, some of us, most of us don't even go there. Few people go and they want to stand there, they want to pray, they want to say a few things. 50 years we maintain that status quo. And the world going wild over the idea that the Jews somehow would want to claim their holiest site. How dare the Jews claim their holiest site? After all, someone else came and put something else on top of that place. How can we dare claim such a site? We're not trying to take it. We don't have any plans for it. We're waiting for the Messiah to come and rebuild the temple. And yet, look at this terrible stabbings that are taking place in the name of what? A few Jews once in a while come with a baseball cap and they stand there and they want to go to our holiest place. The Rabbi, one of the great contentious points of the Jewish people is the notion that we have a place on this earth that we call our holy temple. And the nations of the world just have a trouble, the idea that a Jew would want to claim their special place. And that's the fourth challenge. These are the challenges we face, challenges of nativism, challenges of language and propaganda, challenges of financial claims, and challenges against the very holiest place in the Jewish faith. These are our challenges. Challenges have been there since the days of Alexander the Great, and before that, days of Abraham. Abraham himself had trouble getting even a burial plot in the land of Israel, just to find a place in his land that he could bury his wife. It's the lot of the Jews that we come from somewhere else, and God says, take this land. It's a difficult situation. But with faith in God, faith in the Torah, faith in the Word of God, we understand this is the land of Israel. It's been given to us by God. All the people who live there should be given full rights and equality. Live in peace with us. And if we could do that, surely everyone would come to appreciate that the land of Israel is a beautiful place. It's a Beit Tfilah Yikarei L'chol Ha'amim. It's a place for all the nations of the world to come and see the glory of God, the glory of the people of Israel, the land of Israel, and the God of Israel. And surely there'll be no more disputes anymore. Thanks for joining us here, the Anshe Sfard Beth El congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee. Join us each week for our discussion of the Parsha and the various holidays. Thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.